Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Elevenses with the Reps at Diesel Bookstore. Thank you for joining us. Every Wednesday, we get together here in our safe book space, and we meet with our fabulous publishers representatives and our booksellers, and we talk about all of the new books that we are really super excited about and that they want to share with you. We have the professionals here to tell you about the latest upcoming new releases, a couple of like paperback favorites, everything, no holds barred. But mostly it's about the great new stuff that's coming out that they want to share with you. And who better than to tell you about these things? Your to be read pile will be added to exponentially as it every week for me. Giant stacks of books everywhere. It's an embarrassment of riches. And I am going to introduce all of the wonderful people, professionals joining us today in just one moment. But first, I want to very quickly tell you about what is happening at Diesel, the store. This week, it's a really super busy week for events. So let me tell you about those quickly. We have tonight at 6:30 p.m. John Lang discussing and signing All the Darkness Holds. And joining him in conversation will be journalist Kathryn Turman. And that is tonight at the store at 6:30 p.m. And then coming up on tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m., Sally Miller will be in the store discussing and signing Trust Yourself Anyway, Designing a Life That Fits. And that is going to be tomorrow. That's May 7th, 6:30 p.m. in the store. And then I don't know how we did it. Joey's going to have to explain how we did this. We've got two like banger events happening on Tuesday, the 12th. Amy Ephron will be at the store discussing and signing Unseasonably Cold. And joining her in conversation will be Benjamin Dreyer. So that's going to be at Diesel at 6:30 p.m. On Tuesday. But also, now you're going to have to pick here. I know it's a tough choice to make. We also have offsite at Lincoln Middle School in Santa Monica on Tuesday the 12th at 6:30 p.m. Mac Barnett, and he will be discussing and signing Make Believe in conversation with Hannah Goldfield. That is a ticketed event. You can go ahead and make a reservation if that's the event that you want to attend at dieselbookstore.com. We have everything right there for you. But I know that's a tough choice. Great to have it, right? So that's what's coming up in the next week. And we have more events, so you can plan ahead at dieselbookstore.com, so you can check those out. Okay, who is with us today? I'm really excited to get rolling because everyone has such fabulous books to talk about today. All right, so joining us today, we have Kristin Rasmussen from Scholastic. We have Andrea Tetrick from PGW. Our returning champion, Tom Benton from Penguin. And we also have joining us today, very exciting to welcome Annie, our new bookseller at Diesel. Welcome, Annie. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We're going to launch right into it, and we've got quite the slate going. So, Kristin, why don't you lead us off?
Okay, I'd be happy to. First, a short disclaimer. I can't play either of the guitars that you see behind me, but I can sell a book. So here we go. Let's give it a whirl. The first one I have up for you is called Captain Underpants, the first epic manga. So this is a phenomenal, I just love this one so much. It is an old favorite recreated in an amazing way. So this is one of the books, Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey, is one of the books that my kids grew up on, pretty much is responsible for them loving to read to this day. We know it, we love it. And now it's come back to us in a new format, in a true collaboration between Dave Pilkey, the creator of Dogman, a book that your kids probably love, in collaboration with an amazing manga creator, Motojiro. So this is basically a repurposing of this story in a way that will appeal to a whole new audience, kids who maybe did not grow up with Captain Underpants like my kids did, and now are interested in manga. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I wish we had some interior spreads to show you because I'm telling you, they are spectacular. So if your kids love Dogman and are curious about manga, this is a great introduction. And Dave Pilkey never disappoints. So this one is absolutely great. The age range for this one is probably 6 to 7, 8 years old, and older. And I absolutely love anything that Dave does, and this is no exception. It's great.
Is there anyone who didn't grow up reading Captain Underpants? I don't remember a time when there.
I don't want to know those people.
I don't actually. I don't remember
Right?
when there was no Captain Underpants. It's just one of those unbelievably reliable franchises. The kids
So good.
love it. Love it
Absolutely
so much.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does not
Um,
disappoint.
and what a great combo with the manga. Absolutely. Genius idea. I
It's
wonder where.
wonderful. The artwork is fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything is just elevated because of the artwork, and it's terrific.
And that is out now, Kristin?
Yes, it just came out last month. I think it was April 7th. So, and I know that Diesel had a big stack, so hopefully it's
Right.
still there. Yeah.
Well, also the kids know about it. They
Yes.
tell you if you
They'll
don't.
tell you. They'll be asking for it. I guarantee
You don't
it.
know. They'll tell you when
They'll
it's on.
tell you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kristin. Andrea, what is your first book today?
Thanks so much. This is a blockbuster straight out the gate. I want to talk about Oprah's book club title for May 2026. This is John of John by Douglas Stuart. And he, of course, is a Booker Prize winner for Shuggie Bain. And he also had another international bestseller, Young Mungo. So he's back for his third novel. We feel like this is the best book that he's written to date, and that's saying something because the guy was a master from his first publication. This is a more mature novel, however, and in a little bit softer in some ways. It's set in the Scottish Isle of Harris, of course, Harris Tweed of Harris Tweed fame, and it's funnier than his other works and more accessible in many ways. Transporting the working class urban settings of his earlier Glaswegian novels to this remote, starkly religious isle in the Hebrides. And the protagonist is a son of a preacher. His name is Cal. He is struggling in some ways with his sexuality. I mean, he knows that he likes men, but it's a little hard when you come from this, like, as I said, starkly religious place, a small place, and your dad is a preacher. He comes back to the island after really experiencing the freedom of university in Glasgow. He wants to take care of his grandmother who's starting to ail, and just find his place and try to repair the schisms with his dad, who is a tough guy and not given to bouts, any sort of bouts of communication. He would consider it a bout. But he's also, when he comes back, he's also dealing with the fractures in his friendships and the community as it struggles in the 21st century. And it's just so beautiful, like how all these tales are woven together, culminating in the revelation of more deeper and darker family secrets that are just handled so well and lovingly. This is just it's such a beautiful novel, and I can't wait for people to read it. There are signed copies at Diesel for everyone. We think that this book will sell forever. We know it's going to be on the end of year best of list. I'm sure it will be up for awards. It's just a satisfying read for sure. The great Peter Blackstock is the editor here. He was the editor for Abraham Verghese's last bestseller, and also Oprah, an Oprah May, I think it was 2021, her Oprah or her May book pick. So that's a nice little echo there. And here, let me look at my notes here. Abraham Verghese says, John of John is gorgeous, the most satisfying novel I've read in a long time. The Western Isles of Scotland may be isolated, yet I could see, smell, hear, and touch these memorable characters and get caught up in this world. Stuart's tale is soulful, tragic, comic, uplifting, and ultimately so very satisfying, destined to be a classic. We believe the same. So we hope you do too. Run out and get this book.
I just think this is just going to be huge. Even though he won the Booker and all of this Shuggy Bane, and I still think it was a little harder for people to get into, even though it got so much attention and people were picking it up. But I think this is a different story. I think this is just really going to bust him wide open.
Yeah.
And how lucky for him to have the Oprah stamp over there.
Yeah, and then also it's a May Indie Next pick, so the indies are behind this novel. The reviews are great. There's a just a dynamite review in the New York Times this week. He has a new story in New Yorker that's also really, really beautifully wrought, and so I want to see a collection of stories too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, let's have them all be in the Outer Hebrides, because I have to tell you, I will read anything that's set over there. The outer, I've been to Lewis, which is, adjoining Harris, right?
Yeah.
And
it's in the story. So
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really great locale.
The scenes of the men weaving, because it's a male craft there. The scenes written with the men weaving are like really interesting, and it really, just
it's when you're out there like way remote there on the edge of the world, things are different. So anyway, great start. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, Tom, your first book today.
Okay, I'm going to take you to another place also, but this is pure pleasure, summer reading. This is Carley Fortune's Our Perfect Storm. So Carley Fortune, book by book, has been growing into one of our biggest authors, romance authors, right? There's Emily Henry, and then there's Carley Fortune. So in Our Perfect Storm, this is, classic kind of setup. You follow Frankie and George, and they're best friends. They grew up together, but they're strong personalities. They fight, they come back together, they fight again. But they're always there for each other. Until the moment when Frankie is about to get married, or is getting married. And then she's not sure whether George will be there for her. But George comes to the wedding. However, the next morning, Frankie is dumped by her. She's dumped on her the day after her wedding. So George is there to help her pick up the pieces, and his idea is, let's go on the honeymoon, the two of us, for 1 week, and they're going to go to a place in Canada called Tofino, which is they call it the storm watching capital of Canada. It's on Vancouver Island. It's where rainforest and beach meet. So what an escape. And so it's in that setting that, that all of it, the rest of it transpires between these two really kind of, unforgettable characters. So you've got the beach setting, the romance, all the tension that comes with it. And then Carley Fortune has become, she's Canadian, obviously, and she has become, like, people go, they go on vacations based on her book. So I suspect Tofino, if people aren't already going there, they will be going there. So she brings all that escapism to her books. And the two characters, she's based in a lot of ways on Jo March and Laurie from Little Women. So there are lots of references to Little Women throughout the book, and she did that with Anne of Green Gables in one of her earlier books. So there's lots here. The other new thing for Carley is, like we did with Emily Henry a few books ago, Carley was a paperback original for her beginning of her career. This is her first hardcover. And when you have 3 million copies of your books in print. Publisher decides, it's time to put this author in hardcover, and seems like exactly the right book. So Kirkus in its review said the many allusions to Little Women are charming, and Frankie is a delightfully headstrong, feisty character. She and George have explosive chemistry, and Carley Fortune manages to make the will they or won't they nature of their relationship feel like a life or death stakes. A powerfully strong romance for readers who like their love stories full of torment and passion. So that's Carley Fortune's Our Perfect Storm.
You know what I love about Carley Fortune? That she's such an easy recommend.
Yeah.
It's so, we love to recommend books. I mean, that's what we do, but this is like a sweet spot and so easy for if a reader doesn't already know that this is what they want, which often they do.
Yeah.
Then you know exactly. And I really love the destination part. And I have met many readers who have built vacations around. I have myself actually done that as well. So it's a great way to read a book. It's really an added bonus, I think. So thank you, Tom. All right, Kristin has to unfortunately leave us a little bit early today. So we're going to let Kristin just loose with her next two books.
Turn me loose. Here we go. Okay, next up, for those of you who are looking for the perfect graduation gift for your kindergarten or preschool kid, I have got the book for you. So next up, I have Peter Reynolds' When You Dream Big. This is an adorable picture book by the legendary Peter Reynolds. Peter wrote Happy Dreamer, Be You, All You Need Is Love and a Really Soft Pillow, all kinds of great picture books. And this one is another stellar choice. So this one is really sweet. It's basically the message in this is telling kids that you do not have to have all the answers. You just have to do your best and keep moving forward. So I love the message in this. It's just absolutely, it's essential, it's important, and it speaks to kids on their level. And the artwork is classic Peter Reynolds. It's absolutely adorable, positive. And I love this book so much. And I wasn't really joking about the graduation gift. I guess people do have graduations for little ones. And so this would be the perfect thing to give a young person in your life. It's a picture book, ages 4 to 8, I'd say is a sweet spot. And it's great. Came out in March, and I know that Diesel has a stack. So take a look for that one. Next up, a little different, a little bit older. I wanted to share a little bit about Mixed Feelings. This is a debut by actress and writer Sarah Amini. She is of Iranian and Colombian descent. And this one is just absolutely great. It's obviously graphic novel, ages 8 to 12, I'd say is a good spot for this one. And as one of my fellow sales reps mentioned when we were talking about this at sales conference, it brings together all of the most cringy moments of middle school. And everyone can relate to that. So it's so great. The artwork is fabulous. Basically, this is a child going to school, semi-autobiographical. This is a child going to middle school, entering middle school at a time when she's trying to fit in, as all of us can relate to. And she's also going through puberty, which we can relate to. So it's just great. It brings together all of, as I said, these kind of cringy moments, and it's funny and it's heartfelt, and she has this amazing family, and they're navigating all of this together. And it's great. It's definitely a kid pleaser. It's very relatable, and it's incredibly beautifully done. So Mixed Feelings, Sarah Amini, it's great. That's one I would definitely recommend for a child about ages, I'd say 8 to 12. Not maybe just going into middle school is a really good spot for this one. And again, I know Diesel has a stack of these too. So if you're looking for a graphic novel, this is a great choice.
I love both of these, Kristin.
Good.
Yeah, they're amazing. The graphic novels have just gotten so sophisticated and great, and especially for that age group, that
Right.
that is really a target age group, and kids are just starting to pick out their own books and decide what they like, and they're forming their tastes that, are going to stay with them forever. And there's so many great books that are, and also for reluctant readers, graphic novels are great to get the kids in.
It's true, because it's one of those kind of bridges to all kinds of other things. And in
Right.
this case, this one, I think Sarah does a beautiful job with this. Rex Ogle does a beautiful job with this. We also have his books. They're just fantastic. And it basically, it helps kids see themselves. And I love that.
Right.
I think she does a great job with that.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kristin. We appreciate
Thank
you being
you.
here.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and enjoy your next meeting.
I will.
And
Take care.
and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Kristin.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Annie, thank you for waiting so patiently. We're gonna hear about your first book now.
Great. Yeah. Excited to be here. So my first book is the Judy Blume biography by Mark Oppenheimer, which is actually slightly unauthorized, in a couple of ways. But both of my book picks today are kind of about nonfiction female writer drama gossip, is what I would say. So a little precursor is that Mark Oppenheimer had Judy Blume's she said, yeah, write the biography, it won't be authorized. And then what ended up happening is she didn't do any promotion for the book. That being said, I was pretty intrigued about what would be inside it, given that precursor. And as a lifelong Judy Blume reader, Blubber, Margaret, all of those books were so formative growing up. I was really interested to learn more about her. And on top of that, I watched a lovely documentary about her life, which that was the first time I heard about her adult novels, which they cover the controversy. Mark covers that in this book. They were very sexual, and some of her YA books are as well, like Forever. I read Wifey, which was published in 1978, and I was kind of expecting, I was like, how bad could this be that it got so much flack? Or how sexual could it be? It's really sexual. I'm very prude, apparently, because I was like, whoa, but I loved it. So I kind of went in like knowing that history and wanting to find out more. And he does a really good job of just laying all of that out. I think the caveat is that there's some of the bubbliness that you see in her writing. I can't really fully connect it to her in this biography. But that being said, there is just a lot of color. He talks a lot about her early childhood and her female friendships from like elementary school, which I thought was really interesting. Obviously, we bias like a YA legend to something like that. But and also there's a bunch of things about like sexual exploration of her and her girlfriends at the time. So that was interesting hearing them weigh in on that too. A lot of them don't remember it. So overall, lots of surprises here, but I think if you're a Judy Blume fan, it's fabulous. And yeah, I think also it's like a good jumping off point for exploring her like more adult themes. And then I'd also say that it really makes me, she has kind of a memoir that he talks about at length, where she writes like letters to her fans who are younger, basically answering their questions. And it made me very much want to read that and kind of see the contrast between the two.
Fascinating. What do you think was the greatest surprise reading it for you?
I think probably she wrote 10 books, I think, in like 10 years. And that's like a big part of the like what he focuses on in the biography. And I think just like her relentless drive there is like, of course you need that to write 10 books in 10 years, but I just don't think we think about that when we're reading authors all the time.
Yeah, I with biographies, it's interesting because sometimes especially if it's a hero, a revered figure,
Yeah.
and sometimes pulling off the I mean, or letting letting the curtains down or whatever. And then it's a bit it can be a bit disillusioning, or as well as enlightening. Like there's some, I have probably some authors who I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know dirt about them,
Yeah.
But this wasn't
She's
like
pretty
that for you.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty clean, I would say, which is maybe also why, I'd be interested like in what made her not feel the book was representative.
Yeah, that is interesting. Something to think about. Excellent. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah.
All right, Andrea, let's go back to you.
All right. Yet another publishing event this week. Publishing on Tuesday is a book 17 years in the writing and set in Depression era Oxford. This is from Kathryn Stockett, The Calamity Club. Stockett, of course, was the author of The Help. That was an international bestseller, was made into a movie, met with some controversy. This book has none of that controversy, and it is just a ripping good tale, coming in at 656 pages. Let me tell you, I read this in 2 nights. I stayed up until 3:00 both nights to finish it. And that was when it was about 750 pages. So it's been trimmed down a little bit from that. And it's very readable. It weaves together multi-threads, touching on Jim Crow, the hardscrabble economics of prohibition and prostitution, and also America's forgotten history of eugenics. So it's got, like I said, it's just like, it is a ripping good yarn. It's got irreverent humor, unforgettable characters. There's one who is a Cruella de Vil-esque meanie whom you will just love to hate. I mean, it's just impossible not to find this creature loathsome, as she schemes and, plots to hurt people, including, the many orphans under her charge. It's got a kid who falls into the Scott Finch, excuse me. I need some more coffee, you guys. Okay, sorry. The Scout Finch line of precocious children characters in literature. It's super cinematic. It falls somewhere between Paper Moon, Donna Tartt's The Little Friend, again, it's got some, just Southern Gothic charm, as well as Rita Mae Brown's 6 of 1, that was published, I think, in 1978 or 79, if you remember that book. And it will appeal to commercial and literary audiences for sure. It's just got everything. It's an in-house fave, and the indies also love it. It's on the May Indie Next list, and it just received a barn burner of a review in the New York Times. It's being reviewed everywhere. There's also, as our dear friend Tom pointed out earlier this week, there's also a nice profile on Kathryn Stockett in the Times that gives her publishing history and why she went with Spiegel and Grau. Julie Grau, one of the principals of that publishing house, got together with Stockett during the lockdown period and worked very hard to pare this down from the 1,000 pages it was at that time, 1,000 pages. That hard work has really paid off here. It's just really, it's getting a lot of love from many different quarters. Let's see here. The New York Times, from that great review, a heart-wrenching, often hilarious story of economic hardship, moral posturing, and the particular yearnings of childless women and motherless girls. So that really positions it pretty well. And wow, just a great, big, thick novel to immerse yourself in. So
absolutely a publishing event. No question there.
Yep.
Yeah, gonna be big, and I'm already can see the film, which I'm sure
Yeah.
is coming. No, maybe a series. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would really translate well to a limited series because
Yeah,
there's so just to really get into the storytelling because there's so many characters that are interwoven here. Some great storylines to explore.
yeah. Excellent. I mean, what more can be said? It's just gonna be big. That was on sale yesterday, I believe.
Yep,
So
and also signed copies at Diesel for this book as well. So those are always nice to get your
yeah,
hands on.
absolutely. Thank you, Andrea.
And we
All
never,
right.
we never knew if we'd see another book from Kathryn Stockett. So
Yeah.
it's
So
great.
was the help actually, was it 17 years ago? No, or was it
Yeah,
more, wasn't it? Or
2009, I think.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, the movie came out, so you're thinking probably about the movie because it took a while for the movie to be made, but and
Yeah.
she started this you know, like she was ready to go and then went to Bali and
Yeah,
you know,
I
was
highly
working
recommend
on
that New York Times interview, right? That
yeah.
spills all, like I said the other day, spills all the tea, which I love.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love tea. Definitely.
Yeah, it's good publishing tea for
Not
sure.
enough tea is spilled in this publishing world, so it's nice when there's some. Yeah.
I got some tea.
And also, I just think it's really nice because it's an unvarnished portrait of her. She's like really honest
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, so that's good background for this. And
Great.
And I think
it's just
that,
one of those books. It's just an old-fashioned novel in many
Right.
ways.
well, I saw, maybe it was the reviewer for the New York Times, or maybe it's just someone who works for the book review, but I saw, they sent out an email where she basically said, I'm a person who doesn't like, normally I don't like plot. Like I'm not reading books for plot. And then she read this book and she's like, I guess I love plot.
Well, it's so well done. And I just I mean, you know, there's shades of To Kill a Mockingbird as well, especially because of one of the main characters, this kid who's just a plucky, like, you know, tough kid, like trying to figure it out and an orphan.
I love how we
Uh,
have shades of all of these, we've got shades of Louisa May Alcott. We've got,
yeah.
Yeah,
we
right.
got shades of,
Right.
it's great.
Yeah, no, it's really it just harkens back to all the classics. And if you're ready for a big novel, this is a book to pick up for sure. There's so many entryways into it for a reader.
Sounds like.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. All right, Tom.
Okay, so my next book is brand new in paperback, came out maybe a week ago, and that's Florence Knapp's The Names. Now, we probably remember me from last year when it came out in hardcover, talking about this book because this is really one of my favorite books of last year. So it's the story of Cora is at the core of the story, and she's a mother who is in an abusive relationship, and she's just had a baby, and the book revolves around her deciding what to name the baby, what will be the baby's name. And so her husband, Gordon, absolutely wants the baby to be named after him because he is that way. He insists on things his way. She desperately doesn't want to do that. Um, Her idea is Julian, and then her daughter's idea is Bear. So you have Gordon, Julian, and Bear. So it begins in 1987 when the baby is born and named. And then you follow these three different timelines depending on what name is given to the baby. And so you follow this family over the next 25 years, chapter by chapter, and in these different timelines. So it's a masterful, it's ambitious but it's a debut novel, and she pulls off this ingenious structure, and you never get lost. You never are not sure what has happened, because and it's not like in each of the timelines that it's all good or all bad. It is real life in each of them. And the book is just it's very much about resilience and survival because it filled with pain, um, because of the ripple effects of the domestic abuse and the messiness of this family. but also the healing that can come in the end. So it's a gorgeous book that I think it was a bestseller in hardcover, and it will reach a much bigger audience now that it's available in paperback for book groups to read. There's so many great quotes. This is from Ann Napolitano. The Names is a truly gorgeous, heart-opening novel. I couldn't put it down, and I'm grateful to have Cora and her children living inside my heart now. What a wonderful book. And I want to also say that this is from Pamela Dorman Books, who is just she's one of the great editors, and she always can find those books that are the intersection of literary and commercial books that keep you turning the pages but are really well written. This is a prime example of what a Pam Dorman book is, and so it's The Names by Florence Knapp.
I'm so glad you decided to talk about this one, Tom. I do remember, Tom, I was way early before publication, and Tom was just an absolute evangelist for this book. You got to read it,
Yeah.
and you were way out ahead of the curve on that one. It's really, so I feel like, I read it like 3 years ago.
Yeah, same.
But it's great now, I think, a whole new life in paperback,
Yeah.
and there are readers who wait for these books to come out in paperbacks a little bit more affordable, portable, all of those things. So this is a great opportunity. Excellent. Thanks, Tom. All right, Annie, your next book.
Okay, great. The next book I have is Lena Dunham's Fame Sick, her new memoir, and which is quite popular among all of my friends, every group chat, every 30-year-old women that I know. So I think with Lena Dunham, who is definitely a divisive character, I would say, someone yesterday, we were talking about it in the shop, and she said, no, not for me, which is totally fair. But if you're in the middle and you're on the line, I would definitely say, give it a try. Lena Dunham is the voice of our generation, and she really, her prose here is very, very, very good. It constantly was just a reminder reading it that so many people emulate her voice, and for her it's just effortless. So it was a really good read. Obviously, there are the tidbits of drama and gossip there. I was particularly interested in the female collaboration aspects of it and the difficulties that holds, which played pretty largely. I was kind of surprised by that. She deals with chronic illness, and that's something that is a very, very big part of the book. It kind of reminded me of Educated by Tara Westover. Yes, it's about education, but it's really about the family's health and whatnot. So that can be a little bit monotonous, but I also think that's kind of part of the point, is that she was so heavily dealing with this at that time. And then the other thing is that it's kind of sad, I will be honest, but I also think, and of course, I had a friend who was like, but I want to hear the other side of it. And that's not the point. The point is that, to me, Lena Dunham's an artist, and she can be sad and a little scary. But I'm still here to listen to whatever she wants to tell me. And I would say it did make me interested in I would love a novel by her. I just can, please. I just think that would be such a fun read. It reminded me kind of the Jeanette McCurdy, memoir to fiction that I'm just I need that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it made me revisit Tiny Furniture, her first movie. And I think also in the same way that Judy Blume, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm prude. It almost worked in reverse, where I was like, yes, Lena Dunham was naked a lot of the time on girls, but at the same time, when you revisit some of it, it's not as extreme, in my opinion. So yeah, it was just a really nice snapshot of defining millennial culture.
That's so interesting. Annie was debating whether or not to talk about this book and another book, and I was like, no, please talk about the Lena Dunham. Because I'm really curious as to your take, because there are just, people have so many feelings about her, and she amplifies those feelings all the time, every time and she's just been everywhere with this.
Totally.
Just a huge exposure, and it's fascinating to me because she the same kind of scrutiny and um reaction that she is blaming for a lot of the things that have been difficult for her. So it's sort of like, in some ways, it's watching this her own like therapy playing out, that you're
Totally.
part of her therapy session. and
It's
and
so
that's
surreal.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why she doesn't write a novel, maybe, because
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
not her
That's
if
true.
it's a
Yeah,
novel. So I have,
totally.
I find this fascinating,
Yeah,
just to watch the process. For me, that's like a really fascinating
totally.
thing. So yeah,
I
that's
also
what
love to be part of the zeitgeist, and it's fun. She's her. She's fun to talk about with people. So
there's that.
yeah,
Yes, exactly. And that's what
definitely.
she does. But I do think that I do think it's so interesting. Her whole thing, all of it is just really interesting.
Yeah,
It's just,
it's
you
also
don't want
very
to be in it
interior.
all the time, you know?
Yeah, no,
But
no, no. Yeah.
You've helped me
It's so interior,
understand.
given that she's public.
Right, you've helped me understand. Like I'm fascinated by this whole rollout of this book too, and
Yeah,
now I'm getting it.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Because when I speak to, it's funny, because when I speak to just the readers in my house, for example, some of whom are actually also booksellers, and
yeah,
the difference in reaction, that part is really interesting to me. So,
yeah. And then her first memoir too is
right.
pretty. I mean, it's very, very different.
Right, which she refers to a little bit in this one as well. She
Yeah.
talks
Well,
about the
controversy.
the reactions to the
Yeah,
reactions, really. It's like an
exactly.
infinite mise en abîme here, like, the mirror and the mirror and the
Yeah,
mirror. So anyway, maybe
definitely.
a novel after that wears out. We'll see.
I love that. Yeah.
Thanks, Annie. All right,
Yeah.
Andrea, your last book of the
Okay,
day.
thank you. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about Aqua, a story of water and lost dreams. This is by Chiara Barzini. And this comes from Unnamed Press, a small local indie press that Diesel supports. And we really appreciate that. And this is a hybrid memoir, travel, and cultural history, exploring how water altered Los Angeles, the whole LA basin, and the history of film. And, obviously it's got a lot of local appeal, but it's a book of such magnificence in terms of the writing that it really should be in every bookstore in the land. That's how we feel about it. And that is also translates to the range and strength of its endorsements. So whenever you see a wide assortment of characters and media outlets that are endorsing books, you know that this is a book to like pay attention to. And so like just a few of the folks who have decided to blurb this: Francis Ford Coppola, Olivia Lang, Jeff Dyer, and then media outlets of note such as the Financial Times and a whole array of others. So that right there tells you that you've got a winner on your hand. And also the same thing goes really for for the booksellers that have decided to talk about it, including a really great blurb from Vanessa Martini, a buyer at Green Apple Books, a stalwart outlet in San Francisco. And let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, utterly fantastic. California is a well that, unlike our reservoirs, never runs dry, and I'll never tire of artists excavating the contradictions and confabulations that form it. Barzini does this with uncommon grace. The writing is clean and strong. The many disparate references, theorists, and memories are deftly handled, and each fractally expands Barzini's thoughts instead of feeling shoehorned in, as can happen in lesser hands. Hypnotic and mythic, yet also intimate and raw, you can't miss for California booksellers. But like I said, it really you can't go wrong with this one. You know, like Olivia Lane calls it outrageously good and says that Barzini's a visionary. And I feel like this is a book that anyone interested in California and Los Angeles and the film industry is going to love this. So check it out, Aqua. And that's from Unnamed Press. It's in stores now. There's a stack at Diesel. And this is such a Diesel book, right? It's just like it
Yeah.
has Diesel written all over it. So
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I saw this one, the cover and the description, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I love the format. I love, the memoir combined with social history and all of this
yeah,
stuff. But it is endlessly fascinating to me, water, and water in California and
yeah.
California. I'm
Well,
obsessed with California history anyway, but yeah, really,
yeah, and
it's
but seeing that I'm from Bishop, California, in the Owens Valley, where much of the water was transported down by the Department of Water and Power, I too share your interest in water
Yeah.
in
No, water's a
California.
thing, it's really
Yeah,
a thing. And a lot of people don't, I mean, you pay attention to it when you have to, I live in San Diego, so we get our water elsewhere, but
yeah,
it's still the desert, you know?
yeah.
So, yeah, fascinating. Great book. Thank you, Andrea. All right, Tom, let us wrap it up for the day. It's been such a
Okay.
great day. So many great books.
I have a great book that, because I won't be here for a couple of weeks, I'm giving you a preview of a book that will be out in 2 weeks. Pre-order it now. I do think this is going to hit a lot of nerves because this book there's again, as Andrea pointed out about the Calamity Club, there are so many ways into this book, but it's completely different than Calamity Club. So this is How to Rule the World by Theo Baker. So Theo Baker, he is this amazing kid. He showed up at Stanford. He was 17 years old and was interested in tech. But he comes from the East Coast, and he quickly took the measure of Stanford and realized kind of where he was. So this is the story of his freshman year, and you will not believe what happened in his freshman year. So the book opens with a story that immediately got my attention. So he's chosen by an alum of Stanford, who comes and each year, I guess, and selects the cream of so already at Stanford you have the cream of the crop, right? And then the cream at the top of the cream of the crop, this guy is coming on campus and like tapping you on the shoulder, and he's going to teach you. This is not in the Stanford course listings, but he is teaching a course on campus. He's not finding the kids that he thinks are worthy enough, the quote, how to rule the world. Now this turns off Theo Baker. He is not interested in joining this super secret club. So that's his first intro, and his first, like, suddenly he realizes this is a place, as we describe it, Stanford is less a school than a business. Its annual budget nearly twice that of Harvard or Yale, and higher than those of 116 countries. The product of this business, students. So this is what the book exposes, kind of the rot in this particular kind of higher education, this particular kind of institution. So that's the opening. It also opens with a hilarious Stanford, like definition, like glossary of terms for Stanford, so that you understand the world that you're reading about. He proceeds to join the Stanford Daily that freshman year, and he starts digging into the president of Stanford. He's tipped off that there might be some issues with the president of Stanford. So the president of Stanford is a superstar neuroscientist, a biotech executive, very wealthy. But Theo Baker quickly is able to figure out that some of the research over the last 2 decades of this president of Stanford, there are big problems with. And so in the Stanford Daily, he proceeds to expose the president of Stanford's research, which leads to front page stories everywhere, and the ultimately, the resignation of the president of Stanford. Power of the journalist, right? So it's an incredible journey of that year, story of that year that this kid takes. I think of it in terms of like classic books of this kind, like Scott Turow's 1L about law school. Even Michael Lewis's Liar's Poker, which was about his time early, is a young man on Wall Street. Theo Baker is still at Stanford. He's a senior now. He is a terrific writer, very mature. I mean, you will not believe this is written by a 21 or 22-year-old. He's he's a very good writer. And it's just, this is the book we need right now, I think. It's exposing so much of what is wrong with Silicon Valley for sure, and a place like Stanford. We have amazing quotes. The one from Mark Leibovich, who is like one of the greatest journalists about Washington D.C., and he also writes the greatest quotes. I am a sucker for books that illuminate cultures born of hubris, stories that make you say, I had no idea that world existed. Theo Baker achieves this for several such worlds at the same time. Silicon Valley, Nerd Nation, as Stanford calls itself, oligarchy, and precocious youth generally. Poignant, maddening, and genuinely hilarious. How to Rule the World is to be devoured, and fast, before Stanford buys up and sets fire to every copy. Talk about a burn book. So I cannot wait for, in 2 weeks, this book will be on sale in stores, written about everywhere, I'm sure. And it's going to be a really fun book to publish over the summer. And I think I wasn't initially sold on the cover, but I really like the cover now. It gives you a sense of it's a serious book, but it's also cheeky, it's funny, it's all those things.
I was just thinking how much I love that cover,
Yeah,
actually.
it's
Great.
great.
I haven't read this book. I'm like absolutely stoked. I haven't even seen it.
I'm
So
gonna
now
get one. I'm gonna get one to you right away. It's
thank
so much
you.
fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And it filled me with outrage also at the same time.
Right. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everybody knows we need more of that because there's not enough outrage
Not
lately
enough outrage.
to go around. I can't believe he's still there
I
at
know, I
Stanford.
can't either.
That's amazing. Yeah.
The
What
thing
a
that
star.
is so crazy is that their budget is so much,
Yes.
like astronomically higher than Yale or Harvard's. It's like
Yeah.
that's staggering.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Okay, good.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, what a fabulous selection of books today. As always, you guys have brought it, and I'm so appreciative of your time and your fabulous books. And now, of course, the pile is bigger and never getting any smaller. I cannot read fast enough. So, thank you so much for joining us today. Tom Benton from Penguin, Andrea Tetrick from PGW, Annie, so great to see you. Thank you for joining us today from Diesel, and of course, Kristin Rasmussen, thank you from Scholastic. We appreciate you all, especially you, Joey. I forgot to mention you last week, but not going to forget this week, behind the scenes, doing all of the links and covers. We appreciate you as well. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We will return next week. We will be back. We will have more books. We will have more reps. We'll have much more to talk about. So you will all come back and join us then. In the meantime, everybody, have a great week and happy reading. See you then.